Hello everyone and welcome back to round 6 of season 6 of our F124 My Driver Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a couple of days ago, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Our first sprint weekend of the year from Miami, and it's safe to say it was rather successful. We got a podium, we ended up P4 even in that GP. Narrowly missing out on a podium come the end of the weekend there. But we had a lot of good battles throughout as well. Got incredibly lucky with a red flag restart as well. So as we return to Europe though, we've got a lot of interesting race circuits coming up. It's kind of weird. We've got 4 quite high downforce circuits coming up and then 4 really low downforce circuits before the flyaway season begins towards the end of the campaign. George Russell, 3 wins from the opening 5 GP. Gives him a 19-point lead at the top ahead of Charles Leclerc right now. We are tied in 6th place with Max Verstappen at the moment, 42 points apiece, with Haas currently in P6 as well. Pierre Gasly still yet to score a point this season, but we are hopefully bringing more and more upgrades to the car, which will help him out there. So fingers crossed we're going to be able to try and do a couple more in the not too distant future. Sadly, I've done every upgrade I can right now, so I'm waiting just to get a little bit more acclaim within the team as well there. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed to the channel as well. We are trying to hit 140,000 subs here at the moment, of course. We've got a lot of exciting things, though, coming up in the next few weeks. Most notably, I would argue, Assetto Corsa Evo. So, yeah, really looking forward to getting into that. But anyway, we've got the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix to get on with. Let's head straight into qualifying.
Welcome to the circuit named for Ferrari. It is qualifying at a special arena for motorsport. Welcome to Imola.
Well, here we are then, ready for qualifying here at Imola. One of my favourite tracks, I think it's safe to say, on the F1 calendar. That being said, though, I haven't had a lot of luck around here on this game. Far too many opportunities have gone begging around this circuit. Never was able to win for Ferrari here, which obviously would have been nice in front of the home crowd. Luckily, we would win, though, out at the Temple of Speed over in Monza. And look at that, through Sector 1, George Russell, he has been the man that has flown so far this year over one-stop qualifying, but the man he replaced at McLaren in Oscar Piastri, currently trying to drag that Ferrari to what would be a very memorable pole position through the top of the circuit. Really just trying to keep it nice and dialed in. There is George Russell, so it is certainly looking very close between those two at the moment. Two, obviously, teammates of Lando Norris, one former and one current, up in towards the chicane. I mean, there's nothing between them. We're just trying to follow them, though. We are way down the order at the moment, though. A little bit of a messy line up through the chicane as well, so that's not going to do us any favours as we head in towards the final couple of corners here. Will it be Russell? Will it be Oscar Piastri that is going to claim pole position out of the final corner? Russell's going to do it again, right at the brink. It is P1 for him, P9 for us. Well, there we go. Oscar Piastri gets Ferrari, I believe, their first front row start of the year, just ahead of Max Verstappen and Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc will be a bit disappointed all the way down in P5 there. But yeah, after a bit of a rough first half of the lap, we recovered quite nicely through that final sector to line ourselves up in P9. Only a 10th clear, though, of Pierre Gasly, so that's one of his better qualifying efforts so far this year. Such a shame to see that VCARB have absolutely fallen apart. They would have wanted a better qualifying ready for their home race.
Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo and Dino Ferrari. The clue is in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola, featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula 1 tracks as it's driven anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Fittipaldi, Hamilton, Firestarter, Tsunoda, Perez, Gasly, Stroll, Ocon, Iwata, Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Behrman, Albon, Joe, and Frederick Vesti. That's it then. It's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
We're going to need you to push hard if we want to get another points finish today. Let's make it happen.
Well, grid penalties then have boosted us just up the order one extra spot into P8, but maybe that'll be useful on the run down towards turn 1. 32 laps ahead of us this afternoon. Medium to hard tyre is going to be the way to go. Softs, I'm just a little bit sceptical about how well this Haas will look after its tyres as we make our way through a GP there. But waiting on the grid for those 5 red lights to come on. It is 5 red lights and it's finally lights out and away we go there. Fittipaldi getting off to a good getaway but nowhere to go between Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri gets a good run as well down in towards the first corner. Is he going to be able to try and have a look there as we go wheel to wheel with our teammate Pierre Gasly? And look at that, Oscar Piastri, a power move straight to the lead of the Grand Prix. Oh, as we get tipped through the gravel there, Yuki Tsunoda just not willing to give me anything on the exit of turn 2 and turn 3 again side by side as Fittipaldi goes wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton. Tsunoda's not afraid to get the elbows out on lap 1 here. Clearly wants to try and defend it, and for the 3rd weekend in a row we could be locked into a battle with the Japanese driver. But yeah, Oscar Piastri straight up into the lead. Charles Leclerc from I think P4 on the grid makes it all the way up into P2, so both of them absolutely getting lightning getaways there. But I mean, I would quite happily see an Oscar Piastri win around here. I think that would be a rather popular one. I think he's kind of the cool head that Ferrari really need inside this series. But yeah, as everybody else though just tries to settle into a rhythm. Obviously the big play here will be all about the DRS as the race unfolds. But yeah, losing a 1 spot then on lap 1. But hopefully we can try and get the run on Tsunoda back in towards that first corner. Let's see what we can do. Oh. I mean, Yuki and I have come together a couple of times in the last couple of weekends, and clearly, well, there's a lot of rivalry going on between us round the outside through the first couple of corners from yet another former Ferrari driver inside this game. But we move back up into P8. Oh! Again, scared the life out of me. We had a jump scare last weekend in Miami, and this time around, Lewis Hamilton, out of nowhere, the engine going bang in the back of that Mercedes, so he is going to drop down the order, and he's going to be out of the Grand Prix. We've got a safety car.
Safety car's out. Keep an eye on the delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty. Slow down, maintain positive delta.
Well, I don't remember the last time we had a safety car inside this game, but that's certainly going to mix things up. I'm not convinced it's going to be worth pitting just yet. I think we're going to see a lot of people go over to the hard compound, but I could be tempted to try and extend this stint a little bit more. Imola can be a bit of a tyre killer, but yeah, I think Hamilton just in the way of a lot of other cars there caused a bit of chaos further back. So, are we going to see other cars dive into the pit lane there? Charles Leclerc, see Hamilton's teammate saying, oh, everybody else is in. Everybody else is diving into the pit lane. We might have made a bit of a mistake, and, well, the Haas driver is our teammate, but I'm quite nervous. It's never a good sign when all of the AI pit and you decide to stay out there. Verstappen, though, looks like he's got a huge jump up into what is effectively then the net lead of the Grand Prix. So I think Leclerc's at a slow pit stop then. Chaos in the pit lane, I think. Gasly's up to 4th. What on earth has happened in the pit lane there? Charles Leclerc's way down the order. Pierre Gasly could be on for a podium at the moment. Well, safety car coming in then at the end of lap 7, and we are desperately going to try and put a bit of extra heat into our tyres then. I'm going to be strategic with obviously where we bolt at the final corner. So we're going to try and just go as early as we can through that last apex. But yeah, Pierre Gasly all the way up into P4 then, ready for this restart. And let's go once more here at Imola. We'll try and get the jump on Verstappen out of the final corner. But he is a very, very alert driver there. We've got a little bit of a jump on him. We could somehow get him out of the DRS. That would be fantastic. before the DRS gets re-enabled there. We've used plenty of battery down in towards turn 1 there and just attacking those curbs again. I mean, let's just wait and see what we can do. But hopefully we'll have still a little bit of an advantage on our slightly worn mediums than the AI will have on their fresh hards. I mean, this is the critical corner as we make our way up through the chicane. Big moment of oversteer on the way in. Luckily, we somehow gather it up on the way out there, and that is critical. We have kept Verstappen out of the DRS then this time. Hopefully, that'll leave him under pressure from George Russell. A little bit further back, Gasly, luckily, able to stay in the range of the McLaren as well. So we just, again, get a little bit skittish, a little bit slidey. There's a wall there, Matt. Got to be careful. But hopefully, yeah, Russell and Verstappen now can try and start tripping over each other. And we can just try and run away.
I've got information.
Fittipaldi's gone.
Okay,
Enzo Fittipaldi's out of this GP.
They're retiring the car.
So one Mercedes and one Ferrari then out here at Imola. And I'm sure, yeah, the Tifosi will not be a fan of that. Enzo running really well again early on. Kind of got screwed over by the mad dash in the pit lane. But, I mean, a safety car then would have been perfect for us. The only thing better than that for us would be a red flag. Because then, obviously, everybody would be back in the same position again. The only other thing I've noticed as well is we're actually just starting to struggle a little bit with the rear tyre temperature, especially on that rear right. So through those final couple of corners, and Tosa are really, really struggling to put the power down. Now it feels like Verstappen and Russell, though, are starting to trip each other over a little bit more. We've got to try and get to about lap 20, and then I've got to go to the softs. It would make our race would be over if we went hards. We've got to try and gamble it and just push uber aggressively towards the end. I feel like I've extended this stint as far sensibly as I can without taking too much out of these mediums, and also kind of being able to utilise the speed of the soft compound tyres we're going to switch over to. But I mean, look at that, Verstappen now 5.5 seconds back.
Speed limit line as you approach, and make sure you don't speed.
Mark just, reminding us that we need to dive into the pit lane. You know, we've got to look at the positives as well. We are going to lead the most laps this afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, because obviously we've led, about half of them that are available in this entire GP there. But at the final corner, just struggling a little bit to get the power down. Make sure that we get slowed down into the pit lane as well there. But we are finally going to relinquish the lead in this Grand Prix, and we're going to see quite a few cars stream past us. I'm hoping we can get out ahead of kind of that backmarker group led by one of the V-Carbs. No idea what's happened to Lando Norris as well in this race, because he has really, really struggled right the way throughout there. But, this is not looking good. I think we're going to be out right towards the back of the field then, so way down on where I was hoping to be.
We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track.
30 seconds in the pit lane here altogether. And I mean, we're going to have the grip. We're going to have so much more grip over the rest of the field. But surely we're not going to be 2 seconds a lap faster than Verstappen. I think that's about the pace we need. That's immediately just dipping a wheel through the gravel. Come on, we've got to avoid doing that. Well, at the very least, I'm hoping we'll be able to get ourselves back inside the top 10, because surely, we're going to be able to claim fastest lap bonus point, almost launching into the back of Lando Norris down in towards the final couple of corners. But we are going to have to get the elbows out, trying to make our way through these slower cars. That Sauber's almost in the points. That never happens inside this game as well then. But round the outside of Lando Norris, make sure we give him plenty of room. Hopefully we'll get the run on Ollie Behrman as well, who is desperate to defend back in towards turn 1. But I mean, look how much more grip we've got there. It's like they're standing still in comparison. The run we've got, the amount of grip over the rest of the runners at the moment. Round the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. Oh, he does keep the nose there. I try to fully send it around him. Luckily we will do in the end. Yeah, Zhou Guanyu running up in P12. Well, a Yuma Awasa as well, only running one place outside the top 10, but hopefully I'm going to relegate him pretty soon. Alex Albon trying to defend the line in towards the chicane. You can defend it, mate, but it's just going to cost you more time. Up then into unlucky P13, and there is an Alpine there that is kind of in a bit of no man's land at the moment, so that's who we need to try and catch we want to score points by the end of the afternoon. Come on, Joe. I mean, how slow is that Sauber out of the final corners? We'll try and put the power down. Don't quite set new fastest lap that time. But hopefully with the big run, we'll get back in towards that first corner. We'll get around at Imola as well then. Back into P11 of this race. And now this lap has got to be the one we unleash the pace. And out of the final corner then, this should give us a good idea of where we could try and get to by the end of the afternoon. Oh, 13-0.
Fastest lap of the race.
I'm pretty certain that was, what, about a second off what we did in qualifying. So that's pretty good going, still with a bit of fuel left in the wagon. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to get to Ocon by the end of this. I'm hoping. I think we should be able to get roughly back to Pierre. I don't want to start losing to my teammate. But you've always got to be strategic with where you go for the moves here. Make sure that we stay behind Ocon until we get to the DRS zone. Then we'll try and use that battery, use the slipstream. Just chop underneath him there. Ocon, I think, was a little bit confused which side I was going to go. And then use the battery back in towards turn 1 to slingshot away. Make sure you're just not under pressure again. I mean, just watching Sergio Perez going around at the moment, those AI, their tyres must be absolutely wrecked at this point of the afternoon. Sergio is again going to try and defend from us in a similar vein to Alex Albon. And in a similar vein to Alex Albon, we will play a power move to the outside there in the braking zone. We've got Alonso now trying to apply pressure to our teammate Pierre Gasly. Maybe we can just help our teammate out temporarily here, but I'm looking at these gaps. Dare I say it, the win might not be off the cards just yet. If Russell and Verstappen keep slowing each other down towards the end of the Grand Prix, I want to believe that we can at least try and do something there as we'll try and switch past our teammate back in towards turn 1. Look at the amount of speed we're gaining on Charles Leclerc as Gasly, luckily, will play the team game. Annoyingly, he's going to lose a spot to Alonso as well. He will defend and get it back off the Spaniard. I want to see Gasly get his first points of the year. Go to showcase that the car upgrades are starting to work. We've got a next up, Charles Leclerc. Oh, Leclerc get a big wobble as he makes his way through Tosa. Is it worth going for it now? I think it's worth just staying behind and having the DRS there, so we'll just back out of it. I think Leclerc expected me to send it through the corner, but, I mean, yeah, Yuki Tsunoda, he's having a really good race still up in P5 right now. Again, just comfortably quicker than his teammate Esteban Ocon at this stage of the series. But as we make our way again then out of the final corner, trying to be strategic, trying to make sure that we bag all the time available to us. We will go around our former teammate Charles Leclerc, and we are back into P6. Oh, we've got yellows, George Russell. George Russell's made a mistake in turn 1, and for the second time this year. George Russell finds himself in a gravel trap. No idea what happened. Don't know if there was contact with Verstappen or whether he just fired it in too aggressively under pressure. Suddenly now, Max Verstappen has a little bit of breathing room at the front of the order. But what has happened to George Russell? Well, McLaren have had an absolute disaster this afternoon. Lando Norris just hasn't had the pace throughout most of the Grand Prix. And now George Russell making a mistake, putting himself in the gravel trap. I think he's relegated down to about P10 then.
There's a long way to go in this race, so let's keep it clean.
In fact, Russell, he might even be out of the points at this stage as we will go around Yuki Tsunoda before we make it in towards turn 1. 2 laps to go of this Grand Prix. We are less than 3 seconds away from a podium, but I think Verstappen will just about do enough. Well, it feels like we have been doing qualifying laps throughout the entirety the second half of this race. There was a little bit of a mistake through the penultimate corner, just putting a bit too much gravel onto the tyres there. But will we see Stroll get a run on Piastri back in towards turn 1? If those two can fight just a little bit more, that could be really useful for us. And there we go, Lance Stroll around the outside at turn 1 there of Oscar Piastri and elevating himself up into P2 then of this Grand Prix. Max Verstappen still out in front though, but could we deny Ferrari a podium at home here? Obviously, we battled with Oscar last weekend. He just about was able to hang on for it. I don't want to come P4 for the second Grand Prix in a row. I'd love to get a second trophy of the year after the one we picked up in the season opener out in Bahrain, but I mean, this race has been utterly ridiculous. I really thought after we came out the pit lane that the alternate strategy was completely the wrong call. We've recovered well, though. We cannot quite find a way around Oscar in towards the chicane. Can we get the power down on the exit here? We battled, I believe it was with one of the Ferraris last season around this circuit late on in the day, as Oscar Piastri thought about a move on Lance Stroll. One more corner to go. Max Verstappen is going to win the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. We just cannot get there, but Oscar almost does it to Lance.
Okay, pick up.
Out of the final corner for the final time, Max Verstappen takes the win.
Well, they showed true grit out there today, not to be outdone by the rough circumstances. Many points that came their way today. A job well done, not the easiest of days, but they walk away with a race victory.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Well, there we are then. Max Verstappen finally back on the top step of a Formula 1 podium, and the first time in I don't know how long. He's been battling for world championships, but he tends to be just more consistent than race victories inside this game. Lance Stroll, though, I hate to say it, he might be my driver of the day. 12th to 2nd at the end of the Grand Prix there, just hanging on ahead of Oscar Piastri and myself on that last lap. Yuki Tsunoda comes through for 5th, ahead of Leclerc, Alonso, Gasly, Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon there, and George Russell with that late race incident, he will only finish in P11 there. Zhou Guanyu, best of the back markers in P12. Very, very good drive by him. And just Fittipaldi and Hamilton that both failed to see the checkered flag there. What does that do to our championship standings? Well, it means Russell's gap at the top has been cut to just 11 points there. Norris still ahead of Piastri. Verstappen now up at a P5 ahead of Alonso. And we are just 3 points back behind the Spaniard as well there. Stroll now tied with Lewis Hamilton in the championship standings. But far more importantly, Pierre Gasly finally gets his first points on the board. Now it just leaves both Williams, both Saubers and Awasa yet to score. Constructors-wise, McLaren still with a 52-point lead over Mercedes there. We are 20 back behind behind Ferrari at the moment after Red Bull get some decent points on the board as well there. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We'll be back later on in the week ready for the duel in the Formula 1 crown. It'll be time for the Monaco Grand Prix.